Yet another forced national observance of this new mutant culture that's been created and shoved down your throat. We're told that Trans Day of Visibility, evidently on March 31 every single year, is critically important in helping the most overtly visible people in the country to feel more visible. Sunday was one of several different LGBTQ holidays in this country, which means about every other day of the year is now a queer holiday. There are 145 different queer holidays. So yes, about every other day. The LGBTQ mafia has been able to impose this level of nonsense because in the age of woke cancel culture, most Americans are terrified of offending this group. Now, to be fair, Trans Day of Visibility was not planned for Easter Sunday. Easter just happened to land on this particular queer holiday. But again, when there's a queer holiday every other day, there's about a 50-50 shot this was going to happen. The real story was not Easter and Trans Visibility Day sharing the same date. The real story was the insufferable, forced, and largely unnecessary cheerleading of this day, which happened to be on Easter, from your government.
On Trans Day of Visibility, my message is simple. I see you and I've got your back. There's nothing more American than living your life the way you want to live it.
Every day you choose to show up as your true self. You make this world a more brave, more honest, and more free place.
We must continue to make focused and ongoing efforts to end inequities, eliminate the impacts of injustice, and improve access to care.
We celebrate the trans individuals in our communities and recognize their struggles for recognition and increasingly survival in the face of unfathomable hate.
Yeah, a lot of that. There's plenty more. From the White House, on Transgender Day of Visibility, we honor the extraordinary courage and contributions of transgender Americans and reaffirm our nation's commitment to forming a more perfect union. From Nancy Pelosi, as transgender Americans continue to face hate and harassment, it's more important now than ever to stand with the trans community. It is the same victim politics over and over again. Anything not straight, white, and male in this country is oppressed, and government is here to save them. Last week, Sacramento, California declared itself a sanctuary city for transgender people. It was a distinction specifically designed to protect kids, they claimed, which ironically only puts them at a greater risk of continuing to be guinea pigs for the Rainbow Mafia's expansionist political grift, pushing little girls who happen to like football or boys that get caught playing with a doll toward mutilation as an immediate course of action. And despite all the science, our mutant culture has made this somehow mainstream. Even though everyone knows it's crazy, this is mainstream. Government officials support it, health agencies, doctors, our society has collectively lost its mind on this issue, and it all filters down to our kids via social media and even their teachers.
Kids as young as 3 and 4 are actually aware of their gender identity, even if they don't have the language for it.
This is a tool I use to teach students about gender and sexuality.
This has been my first year in preschool with a class of my own, teaching alongside another queer neurodivergent educator, and we have been rocking our TWO's class. We've been talking about gender and skin color and consent and empathy and our bodies and autonomy. It's been fabulous.
It's a cult, is what it is, and their most sought-after new members, of course, are kids. And we know this because societies that are far more historically liberal than our own have shut down this lunacy, even as we continue to be held at woke cancel culture gunpoint and forced to pretend to embrace it. In just the last couple weeks, the UK banned puberty blockers for kids, a move that's labeled anti-trans here in the United States. Decision came amid the West's obvious trans social contagion crisis when the amount of referrals in the UK for gender identity went up 10 times in just 10 years. They had about 500 10 years ago or so and nearly 6,000 in the last couple years. Finally, the adults are waking up. The child mutilation is ending before it gets any worse and moves into any larger numbers. Finland now requires psychological support for kids in this situation. Fathom if a red state in this country had done the same. Imagine the media's reaction. There would be screams of bigoted conservatives claiming trans is a mental disorder. MSNBC would go insane. And the irony is, it almost always is, a mental disorder itself. The Swedes now offer trans therapies only in exceptional cases, saying that the risks outweigh the benefits. In Norway, puberty blockers are defined as experimental now, no longer safe for usage. And in France, the National Academy of Medicine recommends the greatest reserve when considering puberty blockers or hormone treatments on kids. The rest of the world can clearly see that we're dealing with social contagion and obvious mental disorders, as social psychologist Jonathan Haidt explains.
It happens in clusters of girls. It happens in clusters of girls who had no previous gender dysphoria when they were young. So it's very different from the kinds of gender dysphoria cases that we've known about for decades. I mean, it is a real thing. But what happened, especially when girls got YouTube and Instagram early, but then especially TikTok, girls get sucked into these vortices and they take on each other's purported mental illnesses.
We've got kids in this country so vulnerable that they're co-opting other people's psychological illnesses because social media has flipped from stigmatizing them to actually glorifying them. So we've completely overcorrected in a terrible direction, and we're pushing these kids toward irreversible methods of gender alteration. And any voices to the contrary are immediately canceled by the radical left machine. This is why medical voices have somehow almost entirely aligned around this ridiculous narrative. How many doctors are going to risk their careers, risk their medical license to try and stand up to this when they're firing people and canceling people for far less? They simply just go along, just like everybody else is, pretending that this isn't insane because people are scared of the retribution. That's how you end up with biological men ripping their tops off and revealing their fake breasts at the White House. That's how you get to a situation as crazy as we're in right now. We as a society are losing our minds.